hacking is not wearing 30 or 50 pounds of clothes so that you don't have to pay for a carry-on. That might be a travel hack, but when I'm talking about travel hacking, I'm talking about leveraging rewards points from things like credit card sign-up bonuses and loyalty programs from airlines and hotels. This helps you save on travel so you can redeem those points and miles to get travel for pennies on the dollar. I'm not kidding. I have traveled all across the US, Canada, the Caribbean, Europe, and Asia by spending anywhere between 1% and 5% of the retail value of the trips that I took just by using travel hacking. I did not start out with those types of redemptions. Let me tell you how I got started. Many years ago, when I was living paycheck to paycheck, I still wanted a little bit of fun and excitement in my life, so I found myself in the world of sweepstakes. Yes, my friends, frantically hitting Command C and Command V, copy and pasting my name and email address into any type of sweepstakes that I could find. I tried to win trips, cars, clothes, money, anything that I could find, and I had some success. I won some Vera Wang champagne glasses, a few pair of high heels, a convection oven, and 5 bridesmaids clutches, but let's just say that my return on investment was not that great. In the middle of an anxiety-fueled, insomniatic night, I somehow fell down the rabbit hole from sweepstakes into something called travel hacking. My mind was blown at the idea of using credit card miles and points to help offset the cost of travel. I, like probably many of you watching this, thought that all of those credit card bonuses were scams, they were money grabs, and I didn't really understand it. But over time, I started to figure out how it worked, and I tried it out myself. I applied for one credit card, and with that one credit card sign-up bonus, I was able to leverage it for a long weekend in New York City at a very nice hotel without paying $1 for lodging. The whole time I was there at the hotel, I was like looking back and forth, and I felt like I was kind of like breaking the rules, but it worked. And after that, I was hooked, and I quickly replaced my sweepstaking ways for travel hacking so I could travel for free or cheap. This video is like pre-travel hacking. I'm really going to break down what the myths are around travel hacking and hopefully help you to get a better understanding of what it is, how it works, and whether or not it is something that you can use to help make travel more financially accessible. If you're new here, my name is Lindsay. I'm a financial therapist and the founder of Mind Money Balance, a company dedicated to helping you at the intersection of money and mental health. You might be wondering how travel hacking really fits into the money and mental health category, but I'm a firm believer that travel is beneficial for our mental, emotional, and physical health. You can go back and watch a video where I actually back up my beliefs with research about why travel is so beneficial. However, travel is expensive, and while in a previous video I talked about ways you can save on travel, this is one of my favorite tips to help people save on travel and make some of their trips more financially accessible. The first myth about travel hacking is that it will negatively impact your credit score. The truth is, when you use travel hacking responsibly by opening credit cards, paying them in full, not carrying a balance, and not opening them too frequently, actually increases your credit score. Here is a breakdown of the way that our credit scores are calculated. As you can see, there are 5 different things that impact our credit score, but the areas that are the biggest are the amounts owed on your account and your payment history. In addition to that, 10% comes from new credit, 15% comes from your length of credit history, and 10% comes from your credit mix. Let's talk about amounts owed and payment history, since those are the 2 biggest things that impact your credit score, and also are the areas where a lot of people get confused about opening up credit cards and how they think it'll negatively impact their credit score. So payment history means, did you pay your bill on time? With a type of revolving credit, such as an auto loan or a mortgage, paying the monthly amount on time is what you need to be doing. When it comes to a credit score, there's this old myth out there that people need to carry a balance on their credit in order to be good for their credit score. This is completely false. It is important for you to pay the entirety of the amount that you owe on your monthly statement in full. There are a couple of reasons for this. One is that it helps your payment history to say, look, I paid my bill in full and on time. But also, the second you pay less than the full amount that you owe on that credit card, you are being charged interest. And at the time of this recording, interest rates on credit cards are bananas high. And when it comes to travel rewards credit cards, the interest rates are usually even higher than a standard credit card. So you want to be extremely prompt about paying that credit card in full. Now let's get to the 30% on the amounts owed. This is a little bit tricky because what FICO is really doing is deciding of the amount of credit that you have extended to you, how much are you using? So it's actually less about the amount that you owe and much more about your credit usage or your credit utilization ratio. Meaning, if you have $1,000 credit card limit and you are charging $1,000 on that credit card, you are using 100% of the amount of credit that you have available to you. Now, if you open up another credit card and now you have $2,000 available to you and you're still charging that $1,000 per month, you're using 50% of the amount of credit that you have extended to you. In order to stay in good credit with this amounts owed, you want to be at a 30% ratio or less. So yes, opening up a credit card and maxing it out is not good for your credit score, but opening up a card and not using the entirety of the credit limit that is extended to you actually can increase your credit score because all of a sudden your credit usage goes down. We want to keep it 30% or less in order to stay in that good credit. But really, we want to be paying it off in full every single month. Now, let's take a look at this 10% here. So 10% of your credit score is calculated by new credit. A lot of people fear that opening up a credit card in order to get points and miles will hurt their credit. They're sort of right. Your credit will take a small ding when you apply for a new credit card. I'm talking 3, 5, maybe 10 points, depending on which credit bureaus are checked. But that temporary ding in your credit will usually rebound within 91 days. So going from a 745 credit score to a 740 isn't really the end of the world. And remember that 740 is going to go right back up to 745 as long as you make sure to pay your cards in full and on time. So it's true that you don't want to be opening up a bunch of credit cards and then closing them all the time, not just because it's a pain to kind of manage and your credit score may take a hit if you open and close, but also the credit card issuers don't really like you doing that. The fine print when you are applying for credit cards to leverage the rewards bonuses is that the credit card issuers don't want you doing this again and again and again. So if they think that you are engaging in suspicious activity and they see you opening up a card every 90 days, getting the points and then closing a card, that's going to be a red flag for them and you might be banned from being able to apply with that credit card issuer again. What to do instead is if you have a credit card that, let's say, is a $195 annual fee, you get your rewards points and you use them, but when it comes to renewing it for another year, you realize you're not really going to use the full value of that $195 card, you can call them and ask to do something called a product change. This means that you downgrade the card from a fee-based card to a no fee or maybe a lower fee if that works for you, and you'll still keep your credit line open and your credit history with them extended without closing that card down entirely. So again, it's called a product change. You can call them and simply say, hey, I'm not going to be traveling as much anymore, or I'm not going to be using the full benefits of this annual fee. I'd like to downgrade to a 0 annual fee credit card. Can you help me make a decision on which one to choose? And they should be able to help you out. Myth number 2 is that travel hacking is a scam or that somehow you're breaking rules when you do it. And the name travel hack is a little bit misleading because it does sound like you're doing something shady or wrong. The reality is, if you understand the rules of travel hacking, there's nothing scammy about it. As I said, I have used travel hacking to travel to places in a way that I probably wouldn't have been able to if I were paying for it out of my own pocket. If you know how to use credit cards responsibly, you understand the points that you are getting and you are redeeming those points consistently, which I'll get to a little bit later, they are not a scam. And it will save you boatloads of money if you plan on traveling at all. The only time it becomes a scam is if you are ever paying interest or paying late fees. Then guess what? The credit card issuers did scam you. So instead, make sure that you can stay on top of your monthly statements every single month. That's why you really need to know what is in your monthly spending plan so you can purchase things that you would have already purchased anyways, but put them on a credit card to get points. Where people run into trouble is that they overspend so they can get points, and that defeats the entire purpose of travel hacking. The next myth is that it's just not worth it. Look, as I said, it's not for you if you cannot pay off the statement in full and on time every single month. It's not worth it if you are going to be tempted to overspend or you're going to be tempted to go shopping. Then you're right, it may not be worth it. But for other people, it is worth it. The truth is, there is a time investment here. There is a learning curve to figure out how all of these programs work, to figure out which credit card points transfer to different travel partners. So there is a lot to learn. But Just like anything in personal finance, the more you learn, the easier it becomes, and you can start to tune out the noise of people who are saying you need to redeem for this type of trip or for this type of a vacation when it actually doesn't matter to you. What matters way more in making sure that it is worth it for you is knowing that you have a plan of where you want to go and that you know how you're going to use those points. The other piece about it being a bit of a time investment is that you can't open a card today. Let's say there is a credit card that gives you a 60,000 point bonus once you meet your minimum spend. You're not going to get those 60,000 points the second you're approved. You're going to get those 60,000 points after the 3-month or 4-month intro period, after you have met the minimum spend. And it usually takes anywhere from a couple of days to several weeks for those points to post. This is not something where you're like, ooh, my friends are going on vacation next weekend. I want to do that. I'm going to sign up for a credit card. That's not how travel hacking works. You want to accrue the points and then use them in the future. The other thing that I want to push back on this whole idea that it's not worth it is that a lot of these credit cards come with different perks that you can use to help offset the annual fee and also just make these cards worth it. Personally, I am not a debit card fan because if anyone steals my debit card and takes themselves shopping, I'm pretty much SOL. Versus if somebody steals my credit card and takes themselves on a shopping spree, all I have to do is call up my credit card issuer and say, hey, my card was lost, my card was stolen, these purchases are not mine, and they'll take them off right away. You don't have the same protections with a debit card that you do with a credit card. Not only that, but when it comes to credit cards, especially ones that are more mid-range or premium type cards, you're usually getting a lot of additional perks. Things like travel insurance, purchase protection, ride share credits, TSA PreCheck, global entry, or airport lounge access. If you use any of those things, then those things can be worth it. Myth. Travel hacking is only for people who travel a lot. Not so. I think a lot of people associate loyalty points or status with business travelers who are traveling a lot and who typically are able to get status because their employer is paying for them to stay at hotels and take flights. Well, that is a way to reap the benefits of travel points. The reality is that anybody who spends money anytime should be, in my opinion, getting points back for the dollars that they are spending. Even if you travel 1, 2, 3 times a year, getting a credit card that gives you points or miles can make it so worth it. Just your annual grocery spend, utility purchases, paying for kids camps can help to offset the cost of a vacation. So to me, it is not for people who are just business travelers. It's for everyday people to help offset the cost of travel. The other myth about travel hacking is that it's important to save up all of your points and miles. It's not. So travel hacking is a little bit different than the way that we think about traditional money because the reality is it's a made-up currency. The points value is really dependent on where you use them and how you use them. And with all of these different travel points, things are happening all the time that can actually make the points worth less money. I don't say this to scare you. I say this to say, earn your points, use them. This is very different than what we think about in traditional personal finance, where it's really important to earn money, save a lot, and let it sit there. With travel hacking, every single time that a hotel merges with another hotel, the points can go wonky. You can have a type of transferable point such as Chase Ultimate Rewards or such as Amex membership rewards points that used to transfer to different airline and hotel partners all of a sudden stop partnering with them. So it's really important that as you earn these points, you're using them. This is the one area where it's good to splurge. Some people in the travel hacking community will get on their high horses about the importance of optimizing every single point and making sure that you get the best value redemptions above all else. But you know me, I believe that personal finance is personal, and thus your travel hacking should be personal too. The way that I think about points is if I want to go somewhere and I have the points to get myself there, then I'm going to use those points. I don't really care if I could better optimize those points for a different location or a different time of year. If it fits into my lifestyle and I have the points, then that to me is what those points are there for, and I'm certainly going to use them. The other thing here about hoarding your points and miles is that even if you're not familiar with the travel hacking landscape and you just want to use them on cashback, go for it. Again, if that's how you want to use your points and miles, that's fine. Yes, of course, you could get more value out of them, typically by transferring them to a travel partner, but the best travel hack is the one you actually use. Now that I have hopefully decreased your anxiety around what travel hacking is and helped to bust some of these really common myths that I hear about travel hacking, I'm going to actually show you how to do it and how to get started if you're new to the world of travel hacking. See you there.